Hey guys, and welcome back to another review video. Of course, as always, if you want to trade like myself, get my free training underneath this video. This is going to be another run through of a broker that we can look at in case you're thinking of using them. Now, capital.com also, as you will have found with 8cap and other brokers I've reviewed, just integrated with TradingView. Of course, where I'm a top streamer, top poster, and quite popular. So it's another good place to be using. Okay, and we're going to find out why and how. So if you load up the capital.com website, they've got their risk disclaimer somewhat about retail investors' accounts losing money. So that's a good thing to note, because if they're putting that at the top, it usually means that they're following in line with regulation. And if you go to the bottom of the page, of course, you'll have a risk warning there as well, and it will tell you if they're regulated in your jurisdiction. I'm in the UK, and as you can see, they're regulated by the FCA. So it's really key, as always, when you work with a broker, especially if they're somewhat new, to make sure they're regulated by a prominent body. The FCA, of course, is in the UK very prominent. That means you've got someone to go to if there's a problem. So that's what you need. So going on to the actual review of Capital.com, they started in 2016, so as I say, not horrendously old, okay? 7 years or so they've been in business. Now they offer several different options at the top. You've got your products and services, education, markets, news analysis, and more. And you can see it's quite easy as an interface to use if you want to get started. You can trade CFDs. Okay, you can trade via spread bet like I do in the UK. Of course, it's tax-free. And they'll tell you a bit about their charges and fees. So if we start off by looking at those, because normally if you're picking a broker, you're going to want to know what you're paying so you can maximize the profitability of exactly how you're trading. Okay, we all want to make the most money, and essentially the job of a broker is to offer you the chance to trade. And of course, their cut, if you like, comes in these kind of forms with the spread, overnight funding, etc. So you can see on the spread option here, they're going to make you pay for it, okay, as you would on any broker. It's more or less just a good idea to check the competitiveness of their spread. Being quite prominent and being involved with TradingView now, it's likely that's the case, but we will have a look. Overnight funding, of course, you'll pay a fee to keep the trade open overnight. Okay, that's quite standard across most brokers as well, depending on the way you trade. And then it says guaranteed stop premium. So if you have a stop loss, you'll pay a small premium if that's triggered. That is slightly exceptional. I've not always seen that in many places. So that's something new for them. But they will say, of course, opening an account, well, that's normally free anyway. So that's a little bit funny. But inactivity fees, if you don't pay, they're not going to charge you. Again, quite standard. There's not commission on trades. Of course, they make their money via the other forms, which is quite standard anyway. And then they have currency conversions, no conversion, and funding and withdrawal. It's quite good to have a broker where they're not going to charge you for that as well. Okay, so they have a couple of titles here, which really they're not too important, of course. And then they tell you what the spread is. We all know what it is. If you don't, you can read it simply there. It's just a fee. It's basically their way of getting a cut for you taking the trade. They'll give you a slightly worse price than the market open at the time. So they'll tell you a bit about that, and they explain all that, which is quite handy if you're someone who doesn't really know. And you can see their guaranteed stop premiums. As I say, that's a little bit different, but it's a very small charge anyway. So on the face of it, they look pretty ordinary, but more or less all you want to care about is exactly what the spread is. Their spreads are competitive. They have to be, really, if they're a top broker. Okay, so that's quite ideal. If you go to markets and go to Forex, they're going to tell you what the spread is. All right, so you can see they're relatively tight. It depends on trading activity at the time, but if you look at the pound dollar, for example, it's quite close. Spacing out slightly because you do have a little bit of volatility at the moment. I was actually just trading it myself. So spreads, quite ideal. That's really what you want to focus on, how tight spreads are. And looking on the face of it, they look quite good. They've got a bit of education on here that will tell you about different forms of trading. If you're new as well, you might not know that. You can read about those. That's quite handy. And of course, you want to know what they actually offer in terms of things you can trade. So you've got Forex, indices, commodities, shares, etc. Now, it's quite standard for a broker to offer indexes like this, indice markets. You've got all your normal major ones. Okay, as many of you know, I offer a lot regarding the Nasdaq, the Germany 40, the FTSE, and the France 40, and things like that. So they've got all your major ones, which is ideal. Shares wise, if you're somebody who wants to trade shares, they have a lot as well. 276 pages of it. Normally, people are focused on things like Nvidia and Tesla and things like that. So they offer pretty much what you would expect. So I give Capital.com quite a standard review. Really, they're quite competitive with what they've got spread wise, and of course, you can trade most markets with them anyway. They're regulated as well, which is handy. Of course, you need that with your broker. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll leave a link to Capital.com below, as well as my free training, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. See you there.